Hello and welcome to episode 1036 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, April 8th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir. How was opening day?
I am not in cashing spot in any of my leagues. Screw this year. When's football season start?
Stop. It's episode 1037, by the way. Pardon me. I caught it before too long there, but yeah, I forgot about the sheet that we use, you and I, is not the same one Nick and I use. So there was a fireside chat in between there, and that's why I had the number wrong. But it's always fun to overreact one way or the other. Our colleague and friend Arrow Cohen tweeting out the first place screenshot in the auction championship. And there's no shot that you and I could roast him because we were constantly refreshing, hoping to get a first place overall screenshot ourselves because it's fun.
We were doing the watch party yesterday, and I was like literally updating you on the standings of our main event league.
Yeah.
Just screaming at you every time I pulled ahead of you.
Every time you were ahead of me, every at-bat that pushed you ahead, and you're like, I want to be.
And then I got quiet once you passed me. So.
Yes, and passed you for the rest of the day, didn't I?
You did. Yeah, no, I think my team's in like 13th place or something.
I'm sitting a cool third. It matters zero. We're tongue-in-cheek firmly here, just messing around. You always want to get off to a good start, but holy crap, the every year overreaction, no matter how much we tell ourselves not to, it's so difficult. It should be easy, right? It's one game. It doesn't matter. And yet we're going to do it. We're going to start. We're going to talk about some lineup moves from yesterday and ones that are already locked in for today, Friday. And then talk about some velo readings of some guys. And then we're going to get into some closer stuff because there was a huge trade yesterday to kind of cap off the spring training hot stove and get into some regular season moves already, and then some interesting usage.
You don't want to start with that? I mean, Bradley Zimmer going to Toronto is massive.
How devastated are you though? Because I really do. I'm tongue in cheek, but I drafted him too, so I'm with you. But I was kind of ribbing you like that. I mean, I think it kills his playing time though. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, for now at least. I mean, obviously
something can happen, but
something can happen. I mean, he's definitely buried, right? I mean, he's not starting over Gurriel or Springer
or
Teoscar. So like he's definitely buried. At the same time, it looked like he might be buried in Cleveland. Also, maybe not as buried, but it's always good. I mean, they clearly wanted him. Like he's out of options. You're not trading away a piece of your bullpen for a guy that you have no intention of not being part of your team, right? Because they can't option him down.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping someone gets hit by a truck or something.
It's terrible. Somebody asked me something on Twitter that hadn't initially crossed my mind with this move, but now I'm like, oh yeah. Was this a move because somebody got popped and they're planning for it with the way the Starling Marte move was? Because otherwise, why'd they get Raimel Tapia? What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, because Tapia's out of options too. I had not thought about that either.
So I don't want to cast aspersions, and I'm not throwing them at Tapia specifically. It could be anybody, but isn't this an overlap move? Like, why do they need another lefty defense only question mark outfielder in Zimmer when they?
I don't know that. I mean, again, I don't want to. Like,
yeah, we don't want to get too far down speculation road, but it wasn't a bad question to at least ask, to be like, that's an angle that we could see play out. Because remember when Oakland traded for Marte, we were like, oh my God, they're adding this to their outfield. This is going to be so slick. And it ended up being just a straight up replacement for Laureano, which he was still awesome. And that helped Oakland, do well last year, but it wasn't an addition. It was a fill-in. This is a much lower scale, but it looks like pure overlap. And that's why I'm a little bit confounded by it with the Bradley Zimmer trade. So we'll see what happens, but you were drafting him super late anyway. I wouldn't necessarily cut him because any league you drafted him and you probably can't cut him because it should be a really 50-round draft and hold.
I dropped him in my fab leagues that I had him in.
Yeah.
but
That's the only.
I had already dropped him coming in. I mean, he looked so bad in spring training.
Just continuing to strike out still, and that's the biggest
Yeah.
issue with Bradley Zimmer, and that's why, even you, somebody who really liked him as a potential breakout, knew that it was only going to come if he could figure out the strikeout rate, and that's just been a colossal issue. 46% in spring. If you're striking out that much against the some of the dregs of the league and some of the guys who are going directly to the minors, what are you going to do when it's all major leaguers? So we'll see what happens in Toronto. But for now, I think you can cut him in any fab league if you didn't already with Bradley Zimmer, or if you're in your draft and holds, just hold on anyway because you drafted him super late. No big deal. But let's get into some action from yesterday. Pete Alonso's okay after a hit by pitch in the face. Did you see this?
I did not.
So he did get a little glance off the shoulder to kind of maybe slow it down a little, but still took a bit in the face. Busted lip. Looks like everything's okay, all things considered, because anytime you get hit by pitch in the face, that's terrifying. And so here's hoping it's not much, but it was a little scary. I don't know if he's going to play today or not on Friday. Again, if you're not listening to this the day it comes out, I'm not sure. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe a day off was the right move, just to let him breathe. But
whether he plays or not, you're not going to get to see it because it's on Apple TV Plus.
I actually have Apple TV Plus.
I do too, but that's so annoying.
Yeah, and then they have the Peacock games, and it's like,
yeah, I have to have 7 different subscriptions,
man. And then you still get blacked out on stuff, and I'm just like, what I didn't know is. So yesterday, the Braves Reds were on ESPN too. So that's blacked out on MLB.
Yep, because it's a nationally televised game.
But I thought the Sunday night games were. I don't know. I have YouTube TV, so like I can get around it. But it's just so annoying, dude. They're just splitting everything up. They still have blackouts. I don't want to get too on a negative note there. But hopefully Pete Alonso's okay and everything's good. I hope he's in the lineup tonight. If not, we'll monitor it over the weekend and talk about it. You guys may be able to talk about it on Sunday if anything comes more from it. Otherwise, you and I will talk about it on Tuesday. If, just if anything moves the needle there. Let's get into some lineup. Well, actually, hang on. Brian Hayes leaves early. Looks like it was precautionary. Has a little bit of a wrist issue. He was going out to left field to try to make kind of an over the shoulder play. Missed it. Landed on his hands there to brace his fall. Didn't look crazy, but on a move like that, when you're bracing with your wrist, if you already have a hurt wrist, if it just flared up in chillier weather, it might have just been a precautionary move, because prior to the game, we learned that he signed a big deal for an 8-year extension, but the ink is not dry on that. It is not signed. It is still pending a physical.
Oh, is it?
So he might have said, yeah, because a lot of people were saying, hey, good thing he got his money and everything. Then a few others were correcting, saying he has not gotten the money just yet. He's expected back on Saturday. So do they have an off day today? Probably, because everything in the Midwest East usually has an off day on the second day there to prepare for weather. So he's expected to be back, and it was precautionary, I hope, because I respect that he's taking his money and getting that 8-year, what was it, 875?
70. Yeah.
So that'd be great. Hopefully everything's all good. It doesn't look bad. Apparently it was cramping. Oh,
in
okay.
his thumb. Yeah, so it wasn't I think the initial fear was
that scared me. They undid all the risks to take.
Because we were watching this game live when it happened. I yelled at him for missing that catch.
It was a really difficult catch, by the way.
Yeah, it was, but
20-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah. So I mean, it looked a lot worse than it apparently. I mean, apparently he got in the hot tub and like it was just a cramp or something. It's still a little scary, right? Like, because this is a guy who's dealt with a number of wrist things recently.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's fine.
It's nerve-wracking, but if he's back Saturday, then nothing to see here with Cabrisi.
I put him on my bench.
I don't blame you. I mean, because you're already talking about 2 days anyway, right? So the way the NFBC works, which is the primary leagues that you and I play, so we're talking specifically about NFBC. Yesterday was essentially a period, because in the normal week, they do Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday, 2 different lineup periods for hitters only. So yesterday was essentially its own period. You could play anybody who was on Thursday, and then you can reset it today for guys that are back in. However, in those Midwest and Eastern-based series, today's off day for most of them. So you can put back in other guys who might have 3 weekend games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, versus just the Saturday, Sunday. So I totally understand benching Cabrizi today with only 2 games and him, getting nicked up. But looks like it's going to be okay. Get that contract signed. Get your money, Prince. You deserve it. And I hope Cabrizi has a big season, man. I really do like him. I tell you what, my thing with him that I really liked, I think the speed pushes forward this year even more so than the power. I think we might still be a year or two away from real transcendent power, but I think upwards 17 to 20 steals could be in the offing for him
I
with
agree.
15 homers. Give me a 15, 18 type of season with a 270 average. That plays all day for Brian Hayes. So
I unfortunately just got sniped on him way too much.
I did too, but I also really liked Matt Chapman in that same area, and so I ended up with a lot of Matt Chapman too. So that's where I would pivot. Even before the trade to Toronto, I was usually just pivoting to Matt Chapman if I got sniped on Cabrizi. Some interesting lineup stuff. Dalton Varsho and Austin Nola led off. I paired those together because they were in the same game. They did not both catch. Varsho did not catch. Not going to catch very often either.
He shouldn't.
No, he's dreadful there. But Austin Nola led off against a lefty. Trent Grisham batted last. That was against Bumgarner. So it's probably just a lefty thing. But with Nola leading off against lefties, that's a nice little boost. I was impressed by that, and I liked that. I like that Varsho led off against a righty. If that's consistent, that's huge for him. If that sticks consistently. What did you think when you saw those two moves there with Varsho and Nola both leading off?
I switched my DFS lineups real quick because I want to catch her leading off. So, not that Nola did anything great. I made some money though yesterday.
Same, dude. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think
did you cash in mine?
I did. I think it was in 4th or 5th. I got screwed because Robert Suarez blew the save.
You needed the dub from Darvish. That means I got screwed too because I had Darvish.
Yeah, if I had gotten the dub from Darvish, I would have finished, I think, in 2nd or 3rd. But I think I finished 5th. But yeah, made $100-something bucks off of $40 worth of entries. So I'm happy with especially because I don't usually play opening day.
Why not?
So I just like to kind of get some numbers in before. I usually don't play much the first 2 weeks.
I go the other way. I try to find the market inefficiencies on guys that they haven't priced properly and jump on those. Senzel at 2,300, Bobby Witt Jr. at the same price. This is DraftKings. My boy T-Step, Tyler Stevenson, 3,300 feels like a nice price too. So I hear you about wanting to get some numbers in, but I kind of went the other way and looked to attack. But you had Waino and Darvish as a good pitching combo, and then Arenado and Tyler O'Neill. They did the real damage for you offensively. And no zeros,
you ready? You ready to take your L on O'Neill?
Oh, shut up. No.
He's on pace for 860 RBIs this year.
Oh, dude, I could get killed if he gets that many. That would not
be good. I mean, he'd be the number one player in fantasy.
He'd be the number one player in the universe if he did that. That would be really impressive. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see.
Disagree.
Alberto Mondesi played short. Nicky Lopez at second. And I guess I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, maybe I should have just assumed Bobby Witt was going to play third and they were going to do this. But I thought Mondesi might be second with Nicky Lopez at short, considering how well he played. Not that Mondesi's bad at defense. I just thought Nicky Lopez coming off of such a excellent season. It's one game too, so I want to be clear. All of this is just reacting to one game. But do you think this is going to be the norm? It doesn't change a ton fantasy. If anything, it helps because it gives different position eligibilities. So from a fantasy perspective, it's good. But I thought from a team perspective that, Nicky Lopez, who played just brilliant defense last year, I thought he'd remain the shortstop.
Yeah, I thought so too. Lopez made an amazing play.
He did.
So the confirmation biased that one a little bit. Being like, hey,
it literally saved a run because Straw was on second, and if he doesn't make that diving catch there, it's an easy run.
Yeah, it was a fantastic play. I wonder if this is maybe one of the ways they're looking to keeping Mondesi healthier is don't make him play a position he's not as comfortable with.
Okay, I was going to go the other way and say put a slightly less taxing position of second base, but I hear you. If you're having to learn different things, maybe that is.
I mean, he has played second base before, so
it's not completely. learning it.
Yeah, a little weird. I mean, I'd rather Mondesi play second because I'd rather him pick up second base eligibility than shortstop.
Yeah, just because
But
the depth of one position over the other, but he
yeah.
already came in with third. If he gets short, that's good. One game, again, I wanna be clear, not sure that this is exactly how it's gonna go. We figured Witt would play third. I just thought that the keystone would be flipped.
Mhm.
But Nicky Lopez probably fine playing anywhere. He's like, you know, I'm a beast defender. I'll be
He
anywhere
just
you
wants
want
to
me to.
play, and I'm just glad they're
Exactly.
playing him. I think he went with 2 for 4, 2 for 3 or 2 for 4 last night. I mean, it was he's gonna prove
Lo
all those naysayers wrong.
Lopez is?
Yes,
Or Mondesi? No, no.
Lopez,
Lopez
baby.
went or I mean, Mondesi went 0 for 3 with 2 punchies.
Yeah, I
Um,
know, I know.
no, it's good.
I remember I made the joke. I was like, "Oh, look, nothing has changed."
You're like, "Yeah, I knew it. This is exactly what why'd I buy in." Let's get into some lineup stuff from today because 'cause we're already getting some of the early lineups out. DJ LeMahieu at second base, Gleyber Torres on the bench. I'm not gonna hit a full "I told you so" because again, it's one game, but I still just don't think we live in a world where DJ LeMahieu's not gonna play every day. So I think, you know, it won't always be Gleyber. I'm not saying Gleyber's a full bench guy, but I think he's gonna bounce around and, you know, get Donaldson off his feet, which in some cases might also take Stanton off his feet if they throw Donaldson to DH, LeMahieu at third. Rizzo might get some off days against lefties type of deal. I think we talked about this somewhat recently, but I do forget what your outlook was. I know you drafted a bunch of LeMahieu, so you like this, but what's your outlook here? Do you think LeMahieu, with health, gets a full, you know, 600 plus plate appearances?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think he's not going to play the same position every day, but I think he's going to play every day.
Is he fully on his Zobrist beat then? Like he's
I think
peak Ben
so.
Zobrist right now
I mean, without
in
the
terms of
outfield, yeah.
yeah,
So
that's true.
he's gonna play
Just around the
first,
infield.
first, second, third, but he's gonna give all those guys days off.
Might even DH himself every once in a while.
Mhm. So yeah, I think he's gonna play pretty close to every day. Maybe he gets a couple extra days off just to give him days off, but
Any
yeah,
concerns
I
about
don't worry.
sorry, I thought you were done there. My bad. You're not worried about it, you're saying.
No, yeah.
Any concerns about Glaber, or was the discount enough to cover something like this?
I mean, some concerns. I don't think he's like a full bench player. But he's clearly the least favorite of the organization.
Yeah,
They don't
because he
like
doesn't
his
add
defense.
anything defensively.
Yeah,
There you go. Yep.
yeah, they don't like the defense. Um, and so I think I would not be surprised if he gets traded at some point, honestly. I'm,
Yeah, just because
now,
he could still bring back something substantial. Glaber, of
yeah,
course,
I
is
think so.
25. He would still bring back a
Looks
big
really, he
piece.
would look really, really good in a Giants uniform. While they're probably
Oh,
starting Jairo Estrada today or
yeah,
whatever
you'd like
his
to see
name
your
is.
boys bring him in?
I would
Okay.
love that. I don't
Dude,
know that the Giants have the whatever the Yankees would be looking for in order to move him.
like a strong you guys got like a strong young pitcher? Now your pitchers are kind of
Tyler
established, and then the
Beatty,
young ones you're not trading. Yeah, he'd have to show something first.
he's out of options too. So
Yeah,
like,
it'd have to be like, I mean, it'd have to be Beatty and a big prospect, I think, at this point.
as long
I
as it's not Matos or Luciano,
I don't think it'd be
I'm good.
them. I think
I,
you'd get away with something.
done. Do it.
I
I
think
don't
you get
care who
away
it is.
with something shorter than that for sure. Like
To
maybe
bring
like
in
a
a guy like Gleyber Torres who's still young and under team control,
would you do Ramos and Beatty? Is that
yes.
Alien
Helio
Ramos?
Ramos, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't know
something
that
like that. I don't
I
know.
don't know that the Giants would, but
We'll see
um,
if anything comes to fruition there. You know, if Glaber gets back on his big, you know, on his hitting that we saw early in his career, and then it becomes a situation where it's like we don't have enough spaces to play these guys every single day, and baseball's a rhythm game, and then maybe something happens with their pitching where they're like, we need an arm. Maybe that facilitates the trade, not necessarily with the Giants, just in general, because
yeah.
you know, outside of Cole, it's a lot of questions. Luis Severino, Jordan Montgomery, Jameson Taillon, Nestor Cortez. I love Cortez. I'm actually a pretty big Montgomery and Taillon fan as well. We know what Severino can be when he's healthy, but he's got the health concerns. Taillon has health concerns. Cortez kind of has the can you do it again concerns. He throws, you know, 90. And he throws from the left side, so you can be a little bit lighter on velo there when you're throwing from the left side. But there are questions in their rotation. I could see starting pitcher for what the real trade should be.
It should be. I was gonna say a Montas deal. It should be.
That's perfect. That might even be more perfect than what I was going to say, because I was going to say with Miami, Pablo Lopez for Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
I think both fit.
But I mean,
although maybe he doesn't fit as well in Miami because they got Jazz and Miggy up the middle. And you can say what you want about Miguel Rojas because he's not super fantasy relevant. He's a team leader over there, and he's a good shortstop. So I don't know that they're necessarily dying. And then when Miggy gets older, he's 33 now, he will pass the torch to Jazz, who will be the perma shortstop. So maybe that doesn't fit as well as Oakland would obviously take Gleyber in a second. That is the best trade. You're right. Yours is better, but I think both of those are better than anything else right now. And
the problem is I don't think they should trade him. Mostly because a week from now we could be talking about they're having to bring in another player.
That's the answer too.
Yeah, I mean this team has had so many injuries.
Bingo.
There's nobody who is like safe in terms of
the real answer is that it probably plays itself out within a week.
It absolutely
and all of this is moot. So you're 100% right, and that's why they probably weren't aggressive in trying to trade Gleyber Torres before the season, because they know that their guys are all. He's their only young guy. In fact, in today's lineup, the youngest guy is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at 27. Then you got Gallo at 28, and then everybody else is 30 plus. So there's the real answer. All right, but just keep an eye on that. But if you got DJ LeMahieu on the discount, he's going to play.
I would say, though, if you are in a trading league, you might want to even target Gleyber Torres. If he sits,
if there's some panic.
Yeah, if he sits 2 of the next 3, or 2 of the first 3, maybe see if the person is panicking, because I assure you, in a 10-team league and a 12-team league, he may hit the wire in some leagues.
Yeah,
and I would,
especially if he doesn't play 2 out of 3 today. This weekend. I agree.
Yeah, I would totally scoop on that.
I agree with Gleyber Torres there in New York. Akil Baddoo batting 7th, and I'm just going to go jump off a bridge. I'll be right back.
No, this is not good.
Don't overreact, Paul. Don't overreact, Paul.
No, it is time to overreact.
I want to scream. I'm not happy. I didn't think that the Meadows move was going to do that. I really just thought it'd be. I thought he bat high, but I thought, why not just put Baddoo at the top? Then you go Baddoo, Grossman, Meadows, Baez, Candy, Miggy, Scope, Torres.
How is Miguel Cabrera batting 5th? I mean, maybe this is opening day thing. Miguel Cabrera, hey, go ahead and bat 5th. You're the, old time face of the franchise.
Bat him in the bottom 3rd, though. Because here's the thing: as much as he's not Miggy, he's not trash. He's basically like a league average bat, like 92 WRC plus. Like that's a stone's throw from just being average. I understand that, but it's not a 75. Like
you're batting kind of Spencer Torkelson, the future, 8th,
the future.
And
I have no problem with that. Baddoo has put stuff on Major League paper, though.
Yeah,
and batting him 7th is weird to me. And obviously, I'm super biased. I'm completely in the bag for Baddoo, so that bias is on the table. But I don't think I'm being illogical to think that he should have been still leading off with Grossman, then Meadows, Baez, Candy, Cabrera, Scope, Torque, Barnhart. I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised. We'll see how it goes. I love the team's lineup. Baddoo can still be a G from down there.
You've got to be pretty happy that the Tigers have such a strong lineup from top to bottom.
And that's why I don't want to get
your first overall draft pick from 2 years ago, 8th. And
absolutely
be okay.
And that's why I don't want to get too hung up on this, because the overall issue is that the team is good and the lineup is deep, and I'm happy about that. So put my fantasy stuff aside for a moment and accept and be happy about, hey, my favorite team is back, and as a competitive team. I don't know that they're making the playoffs this year or anything like that. It's definitely still going to be a grind, but I am excited that my favorite team has got a quality lineup. a strong rotation, and even a handful of bullpen pieces that don't make me want to vomit, which is rare because usually they don't have any. So
I
we'll see how
I
that goes. It's one
I
day.
just have to say before you go on to the next
Hmm.
topic, that is a sick hat you're wearing.
Thank you.
I
That's my
love that hat.
it's my All-Star one I got at the All-Star game.
That is, yeah,
So
that is
thank you.
absolutely
It's one
sick.
of my favorites, and it gets a lot of
Yeah.
compliments. So I appreciate you. Appreciate
It's
you
my
giving it some love.
second favorite hat of yours that I've seen you wear next to the old school Expos hat.
Is it this one? Is the first one? Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I just love the old school
It's so
Expos hat.
clean. It's so
Yeah,
clean. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah.
And yeah, I had to rep Tigers today, of course, with opening day coming. Got to face Giolito. Won't be easy, but that's a
Mhm.
quality lineup that they're putting out there, even with Badu at 7. On the Chicago side, I don't think, did we talk about the Yohan Moncada injury?
No, because it came out
Because it came out,
yesterday
yeah, that's
before
what I
the
thought.
start
That's
of the
we oh, no,
game, like
we talked about it on the, watch party.
yeah,
That's
on
why I was
the
like,
watch
we
party, yeah.
did talk about it, but it was not on a pod. So, Yohan Moncada's out with an oblique for, like, 3 weeks, and this kinda came out of nowhere, like you said, because apparently they were talking about, like, "Oh, he's a little nicked up," but they didn't suggest that it was anything big, and they
Yeah.
didn't even say it was oblique. Didn't they say it was, hip?
I I hadn't even heard, honestly, like,
I'd heard that it was,
I don't have
little.
Moncada anywhere, this year, and so, like, I probably wasn't paying enough attention, but, he definitely I mean, they're saying 3 weeks now,
So you know the Jason Gillette rule, we're putting him at 5 weeks. You
yeah,
gotta
and
add a couple weeks to every timetable.
I put in the roto write-up, this morning that, typically these injuries are 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm
Um
starting at 5 weeks with this
Mhm.
because and I'm nervous. And by the way, probably goes out the window on the, I'm gonna try to steal more this year type of thing that he said in spring,
Yeah.
which he's said before, but, you get an oblique. Obliques, I hate obliques, man. They can be so, they can linger so much, and it's really upsetting.
They're also they're, like, one of the easiest injuries to re-injure,
Yep, to have
as you
reoccur.
start as you kind of start to ramp back up, so, like, I mean, I wasn't in like I said, I wasn't in on Moncada, I don't have him anywhere, but, uh, you know what you do when you have an injury like this, right?
What's that?
You eat burgers.
You do eat burgers, baby. Jake Burger's starting to, and injuries suck, but sometimes the silver lining is somebody gets in, finds that playing time. Jake Burger was one of my draft and hold guys that I was like, I couldn't quite go for him in Fab Leagues. So I was like, the playing time just isn't there yet without an injury. I didn't know the injury would come instantly, but I'm in on the Jake Burger love, man. So I'm gonna be watching this weekend. Obviously, if he hits like, 2 homers and hits 400 in the first weekend series, he's going to be way too expensive in Fab. But I'm excited. Jake Burger, for those that don't know, is a former first rounder back in 2017. He's just been decimated by injuries trying to get himself going. He only has 557 minor league plate appearances because he had 217 in 2017 and then missed 18, 19, and of course 20 was a lost season. I don't know if he was practicing at the alternate site or not, but obviously there's no record of it because there were no actual games. Got back last year, put up a nice little season in AAA for 82 games. Jake Burger hit 18 homers with an 845 OPS and got a little taste of the majors, which he did fine in 42 plate appearances, 807 OPS. He's still just 26. He's got big power. This could be a great opening for him. And obviously, Moncada will come back and play. But if Jake Burger establishes himself as somebody that they want in the lineup, then I think guys like Josh Harrison and Gavin Sheets will be looking over their shoulder playing time wise. And I like
Mhm.
Gavin Sheets and even Josh Harrison. I like both those guys. But Burger gets an opportunity here. Where are you picking him up?
15 teamers, I think. I don't know that he's 12 relevant unless he has, like, a really big weekend. I mean, if he starts all 3 games,
Yeah, because
then
this is
you
against the lefty. So we don't know for sure if he's going to start unencumbered here
mhm.
against a lefty for sure because he's a righty. There could be some finagling. Vaughn
Yeah,
starting too. Sheets could just go into DH though against a lefty. I don't know who's not in here that would necessarily take Berger's spot though. He might be the starting third baseman.
I mean, they could always move Harrison over to third and then put Lurie Garcia, at second.
Oh yeah,
So
Tim Anderson's out today. So Larry Garcia's
Tim
at
Anderson's
short.
out today and tomorrow. So
Okay,
because
so
he's
we're gonna
suspension.
see Garcia twice. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. We're gonna see Garcia at short both days, Harrison at second, and probably Berger at third for those first 2 days. Sunday will be kind of interesting because it'll be another righty for the Tigers. They only have the one lefty with Erod.
Sunday will be a kind of an interesting way to tell. Like if he's playing on
Yes,
Sunday, then he's
Burger is.
played all 3 games with the team at quote unquote full strength.
Yeah,
It's hard with Tim Anderson, being suspended for these first 2 games from an incident last year. It kind of doesn't really give us as much information on their lineup as we would like.
you're right. Because Larry and Harrison, so it's 2 guys for 3 spots once Anderson's back. It's Larry Garcia, Josh Harrison, and Jake Burger. Larry Garcia and Harrison are kind of similar, and Burger's somebody who can be kind of a game changer in the lineup with his power. But we'll see. Can he hit righties? That'll be the question. Is he probably going to play against every lefty? But is he going to be able to hit righties? We'll have to figure that out. But I'm excited, and I'm keeping a close eye on him.
And remember, this division does not have a lot of lefties.
And that's part of why I wasn't as worried about Badu. Everyone brings up the platoon. I said they have like 3 projected starting lefties: Daniel Lynch, Chris Bubich, and Dallas Keuchel, none of whom scare you. And the only reason that that's what you focus on is because you play so much in your division that's where the biggest chunk would come.
Yeah.
If there were 7 lefty starters, that would really hurt a Badu. That would really help a Jake Burger. But there's only 3. So we'll see how it goes with that, and Moncada being out. And then we'll see what happens on Sunday when Tim Anderson's back from that stupid 2-game suspension. Trevor Story batting 6th on opening day. It's Enrique Hernandez, Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, JD Martinez, Alex Verdugo, and then Trevor Story. Any concerns with that? Do you think this is what it is? What's your takeaway from that when you see Story batting 6th?
Who are they going up against today?
Garrett Cole and the Yankees. Decent guy.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. Yeah, a little concerning. I'm not overly concerned because it's still a really good lineup. He's going to gain second base eligibility, but anytime your 3rd round pick, which Trevor Story was a 3rd round pick for most people in 15-team leagues, is batting 6th, that's a bit concerning.
I'd say so.
So, yeah, that is concerning. I don't even know that there's much else to say other than start to freak out, people. Are you dropping
coming in with the real measured? Take it, freak out, y'all. Just lose your shit over this right now.
Football season's coming, guys.
Yeah, it's on the horizon.
Yeah, no, that sucks. Because you lose what is it, 20 or 30 plate appearances per position in the lineup. So
yeah, but where was he expected to? Is this very different from the expectation? I don't remember what he signed so recently, and I don't have any stories, so I wasn't really dialed in on it. Was he expected to bat like 2nd? Like this kind of makes sense, right? And they'll kind of want to see where he's at. I could see him getting up to 5th.
I kind of thought he'd bat 5th. You gotta wonder, how long do they keep Enrique Hernandez at the top?
If he keeps doing his thing, though, Enrique Hernandez is good, and
he's not much. He just doesn't walk much, so it's like why?
But he did have he had 10% last year, and he had 337. Wow. Yeah, 337 OBP. So he was getting on base, 34% clip there at the top of the lineup. That's capable. That's what you want.
Wow, that is. He had a 4% walk rate in 2020.
Yeah, that was the thing that
obviously small sample, but even like a sub 8%.
He just had a brutal time in 2020, and it kind of lingered. Like, oh, is he still good?
Yeah, I just did not realize he got back. Yeah, I did not realize Enrique Hernandez got back to a 10% walk rate. So that's
I'm not panicked on Story. I don't love this. I'd obviously love him to be hitting higher, but I'm not bugging.
I'm more interested to see how much he steals.
Yes,
because Boston has been a team that has not pushed it on the base paths in recent years, but they also don't have a team of speedsters. So, exactly. A lot of the projection systems, or some of the projection systems, don't have him super high in stolen bases. I still think he steals 15 bags. So I'm definitely interested to see, being 6, you're going to have guys like JD Martinez in front of you, right?
Mhm.
And does that, already, on top of going to a team that doesn't run quite as much as the previous place he was at, like, does that, drop him below double digit stolen bases this year?
Yeah, I think that's fair with Stories to see what's up with the stolen bases. That's the bigger key, even bigger than leaving Coors for me because I don't think there's any reason to freak out about him leaving Coors. We've seen when star players leave, they remain star players. Obviously, they lose a bit at home, but they gain a bit on the road because of the Coors hangover. A
Hmm.
few starting pitcher things from yesterday. Shane Bieber's velo was down to 90.9. Now he still pitched pretty well against the Royals. Part of that might be that it's the Royals. Like I like their lineup. I definitely think it's a lineup that can blossom this year, but it's not like a power studded lineup either. And so he was still able to kind of maneuver around that, didn't walk anybody, had a 13% swinging strike rate, but 90.9 is down from 92.8 last year and 94.2 in the shortened season, career 93. So however you slice it, it's down. Is an opening day 4 2/3, 90.9 velo from Bieber concerning for you or just opening day noise?
It's pretty concerning to me. He didn't look awful necessarily, but he also didn't look sharp on top of not having the velocity.
Yeah.
For reference, he was at 92.3 on opening day last year.
Okay.
So this wasn't a matter of like,
Even that
hey,
was down, by the way, too, because
yeah,
that was relative to the 93, 94 that he'd been
mhm.
established before that for Bieber.
And remember he was down and then he was hurt. So like
Yes.
this is one of the reasons I faded Shane Bieber coming into the season was like I just didn't trust the health. It's not the skills. I mean, even with
Exactly.
reduced velocity, like he still hits his spots more often than he doesn't. Um, I'm definitely worried. And I mean, obviously, this is not something that's actionable. You're not going to like go trade him unless you can get equal value on an ace.
Yeah, and I doubt
Um,
you're going to. I mean, you might actually be able to because there are a lot of fantasy folks that will buy at market value just because they're like the availability of somebody is a discount enough. They'll try to get a discount, but then when you say, okay, now let's just do market price here, they might still do it if you really want to try to get out from under Bieber. But in most instances, you'll probably have to take a little bit of a discount
and
if
you'll
you
you'll
really
have
want
to
to get out.
disguise it in some way. You can't just go to the Max Fried owner and go, "Hey, Shane Bieber for Max Fried." And
Well, he
like,
gave up 5 runs. There, it might be panic for
I know,
panic.
but like that's so transparent,
No,
right? Like,
I know.
um,
I
and
wouldn't
in
even
some
do that.
leagues you'll get away with that, right? It's up,
Yeah.
if you're playing with your buddies who don't really watch baseball or just playing just to do something until football starts.
Y'all know your leagues better than us.
Yeah, maybe you can get away with that, but like maybe a 2 for 2 where like you address a different category. Um, or maybe you're pitching rich and you can trade Shane Bieber for I don't know a second baseman or whatever.
Mhm.
But you don't want to overreact and sell low. But if you can get equal value for a guy like Shane Bieber, like I would have no problem doing that right now. I would actively be trying to. Um, some people just really like to trade too. So find that it's
True,
always one of those guys in your league, right?
true.
We call in Friends Fantasy Benefits, we call him the Bren Bennett, the Penn Brennis, who's one of our writers who just can't stop trading. Or
Some people love that.
if you've ever been in a
Zinke's
league with
known
Ian
for it.
Kahn or Tom
Yep, Ian
Trudeau
Kahn,
or
Tom
Jake
Trudeau, yes.
Seeley, yeah,
Handful of guys that are just known for it, and, they're really good at it. I am not. This is why I've gravitated toward the NFPC. I'm not a great trader. I will
I thought I
acknowledge
was
that
a great trader, and I
until
still
you
think I'm a
started.
pretty good trader until I got into leagues with Ian. Um, because Ian will pick your pocket with one hand while he wraps his other hand around you and hugs you. And he just makes you
I
feel so good about fleecing you.
see, but I think he makes
Um,
really fair trades though
he
too. Like,
does. I'm
wh
just,
wh
I mean, Ian's my
I know
buddy.
you're messing, but when I
Um,
come out, I'm like, "You know what? I like that trade with him," and he makes it so easy too. Like he calls me and he's like,
mhm.
"You want to do this?" And the first offer is usually
And
so
that's the thing.
good that you're
He
like,
calls you. He does
"Yes."
not do trades over email or like, back and forth on the site and stuff like that.
I mean,
He
he's an
gets your
elite
phone
actor.
number. He
He wants
calls
to use
you.
his strength of
Oh,
talking to somebody.
I don't know if I've told this story here or not, but one time, he called me up and I was talking to him and figured out the deal, and then
This
hung
is
up.
Ian Khan from
Ian,
AMC's Turn, by the way, played George Washington
mhm,
and many other movies, but
and The
that's his
Athletic.
big role. Yes, and of course,
Um,
The Athletic.
uh, and Danielle, my wife, looked at me right after I got off the phone. Was like, "Your voice changed." Like, I was like, "Yeah, I put on my actor voice. Like, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah. You
poker
you
too,
got to get in
because
your role as well.
yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, Ian just is so good at the, like, making you feel good about it. Um, that like
I love
that
that.
it's yeah, no, I love Ian. I'm glad I'm not in any trading leagues with Ian anymore.
No, he's fantastic and he's an amazing player, and a lot of it is his trade skill, and he's always going to give you something. Like I know you're being tongue in cheek about the fleecing thing. It's not like he comes in trying to rip people off. He
No,
won't.
no,
He knows your team probably better than you do.
he
He's gonna
comes
tell you
in and
something.
he
He knows how to address a need, and that's what makes him a good trader, though, too. It makes you so
yep.
comfortable because you're like, "I do need that. You're right, and you are
Mhm.
offering me somebody who can help that. Yes, let's do that trade. Oh, I just gave you an ace. Dang it. I shouldn't have done that. I don't need
It's
runs that
amazing.
bad."
If you want to see a fantasy baseball work of art, join a dynasty league with Ian Khan.
There you go.
Because he will turn around a team with incremental moves, but he makes so many incremental moves
Mhm.
that at the end you go, "How did you do that?"
Yep.
Like
He turns
it's
the red
insane.
paperclip
Like,
into
yeah.
a car, that
Mhm.
that whole thing. On the other end, Tyler McGill was brilliant.
Ooh.
He did a great Jacob deGrom impersonation. His velo was up to 96.2 from 94.7 last year. He was cooking with gas in 5 shutout innings, 33% strikeout, 15% swinging strike rate, cutting up the Nats. Nats are not going to be a good team this year, but that's a pretty solid top of the lineup there at the very
Mhm.
least. So getting
Did
through
you see a
Hernandez.
strikeout of Soto?
Yes. Yes. And, he gets a Soto strikeout, that's Cesar Hernandez, Juan Soto, Nelson Cruz, Josh Bell, Kybert Ruiz. I'm a big Lane Thomas fan, but I will not include him in that group yet. The top 5 is good there. That's a good half of the lineup. Bottom half leaves something to be desired. He cut through him like a warm knife through butter. And obviously, a lot of Tyler McGill hype. Were you in on the hype train?
I was not. And like I continue to move him up as we went through draft season, but I never was high enough to end up
Mhm.
with him in the league. Um, and man, Mike Kurland a few days ago tweeted out something about, hey, like, who are the guys that
That you missed out on?
you're gonna have FOMO on.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be McGill for me. Like this is one is gonna I'm going to kick myself all season long. Because yeah, this was another one of those. This is the one we were supposed to watch yesterday, but it got pushed back.
Got pushed to the
And
evening, and we did a day stream.
yeah, and I sat down and I really wanted to watch Patrick Corbin, and so I
That's your
watched
boy.
this game.
He
Hmm.
wasn't terrible, but he wasn't
He was
he
good
wasn't
until
great
he
either.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a fair way to put it. Like, he was okay. Well,
yeah.
it felt better than last year, just kind of as a cursory look for 4 what was it, 4 plus or 4 innings?
Oh
Like,
yeah. He
I
looked
I was
good for
watching a
about
lot,
2 2/3.
and then it
Um,
got a
and
little
then
got a little long. He
yeah.
only gave up 2 runs, though. I don't wanna overstate it. It
Mhm.
was 7 base runners, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. It was okay for Corbin, but McGill stole the show and had one of the best
Yeah.
starts of the day. Um, in the Atlanta game, that was Freed versus Tyler Mahle, two really good starters. And Mahle pitched his butt off because he wasn't at home. Five innings, 1 unearned run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. The show was stolen by Spencer Strider, the first "Who the heck is that guy?" Middle reliever performance of the season. 2 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. He was amazing. And if you follow Eno, as you should, and you're really in on his Stuff Plus stuff, Strider was somebody that's been identified by Stuff Plus as, holy smokes, this guy's amazing. He had a 33% swinging strike rate, by the way. Like, for a reliever, 14, 15% swing strike rates. Like, that's really nice. Like, that's really solid. That can get a bunch of Ks.
Mhm.
33%. He had them
Yeah.
whiffing. Everything was gas. It was brilliant. Um, I don't think he's gonna take over the closer's role for Jansen or anything like that. But is Spencer Strider, if he's gonna be in like a multi-inning relief role with a ton of strikeouts, is he the first go get him for leagues that have viability for middle relievers?
Yeah, and I think every league has some viability. I mean,
These days,
maybe
yes.
not 10 teams, but early in the season, these are the guys that are going to sneak wins.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
because we're going to see a lot of guys capped at 75, 80 pitches,
Mhm.
and that won't get them to 5. And so the Striders of the world are the ones that you want to target, and we now know that he's going to be that guy on his team. So, yeah, I would. He's he's probably going to go for more than he should
True.
in really sharp leagues, but in your home leagues, ESPN, Yahoo, stuff like that, that maybe aren't so sharp necessarily. He probably sneak him through for nothing, for a buck or $2. And I think he's definitely a guy that I would want to get and just kind of put him on my team and hope I sneak a couple extra wins, as opposed to like Chris Torres. Torres talks on Twitter is like, hey, do I start Tyler Wells? And it's like, I guess if you don't have any other options, right? Because Tyler Wells is only going to go 3 innings, but he's going to go 3 innings at the front. I'd rather get the guy who's going to go 2 or 3
The
innings.
piggyback, which could
Yeah,
have been Justin McKenzie yesterday, but he was not particularly sharp
yeah.
out there.
You worried
There
about
was
him?
no, it's Torres takes, by the way. You said talks just for those
Oh,
that want to
sorry.
follow him, but I just want to make sure that that's clear.
You should be
Uh,
following at Torres takes.
At Torres takes, absolutely. I'm not too worried about it. It was cold. I don't know. I make a lot of jokes about how Tristan McKenzie's built exactly like me because he is. And if he reacts to the cold the way I do, then I understand why he was pitching kind of crappily yesterday in 47-degree weather with 15 plus mile an hour winds. His velo was down. He gave up 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks in 3 innings. I'm not too worried about it. By the way, that was a planned extended outing there because he's the 5th starter. They're
Mhm.
not going to need him for about a week plus. So from that aspect, like I'm not worried about him not starting. I'm not even that worried about the one ugly outing. His velo is inconsistent. That's something that we have noticed, but I think a little bit more is being made out of it than maybe should. He was at 91.8. He was at 92.1 last year. So
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
are we? Is it really the danger zone? I don't think so. I guess the real reaction would be that to close the season, he was at a much higher velo over the final, or maybe not much higher. No, it's actually really 93, 92. Yeah, no, I'm not too worried about it.
No, I'm not worried either.
All right. Let's continue to move on here and talk some closer news.
Mhm.
Taylor Rogers was traded to San Diego. They said he's going to be the closer in San Diego. And Robert Suarez, obviously Rogers wasn't there in time to close. So Robert Suarez got the opportunity and was terrible. So we already knew that, it's not his job. It's going to be Rogers's job. Are you just outright cutting Suarez now?
I feel like I should after what he did to me in my main event yesterday. Um, I wasn't going to start him, and then you reminded or you let me know that Patrick Sandoval had been moved back, and so I was like,
Yes.
oh, well, I guess I am starting Robert Suarez, and I wish you hadn't told me that, you jerk.
I'm sorry.
Um,
He got smoked. I mean, the
he's
team
just
that smoked him, I mean, we would not expect Arizona to bust him up
came,
like that.
came in for the save and ended up giving up, three earned runs, and I don't even think he got
He did
a
not.
third of an inning.
He
Yeah,
did
so
not. 3 earned on 2 walks on 15 pitches. He
yeah,
just didn't have it,
didn't
man. It
have
was
it.
it was tough.
Yay for Seth Beer.
I'm I'm a Seth Beer
Yeah,
guy, so I like that aspect of it.
I think you can drop him
Yeah.
in leagues that don't have holds. Huge bummer for those of us who drafted Robert Torres. I don't have him in a ton of spots or anything, but just a
I was
bummer.
excited about him as a sneaky closer play
Mhm.
because we thought he could be the guy there, and
The
they end
question
up
is,
going.
who's the guy in Minnesota?
Yeah, so they go get it. By the way, Chris Paddock was dealt over there. And listen, I know a lot of us in the fantasy circles are out on Chris Paddock, and I count myself among them. I'm not a Chris Paddock guy.
I'm
That's a
not.
nice pickup for Minnesota though for a fifth
Yeah,
starter.
I'm not out.
You're still digging all the
He
Sierra
was
and
so
underlying.
cheap. I mean, he just needs a third pitch. And maybe it's a new organization, kind of new kind of approach. I just think there's too much talent in that arm to just give up on him. So,
Yeah,
he's not like, I'm not saying like, hey, like he's an every, day starter, or, you
or
start
even an all
putting in your
formats
lineup.
guy.
Yeah, he's not an all formats guy, but like, I mean, in 15 team leagues, if he's available, or even some 12s, like, take the gamble. There's worse gamble. Would you rather have him on your team, or like a Michael Pineda type? Like, give me the guy who 2 years ago was a top, like, 10 pitcher. Yeah, you're gonna take that gamble.
Yeah, I can hear that. I think Pineda is actually not a terrible streamer on the Tigers either, but
You know how I feel about Michael Pineda.
yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, you're wrong because he's just consistently solid. So don't use that name. You use a different name to get after him is all I'm kind of getting at.
Would you rather
But
have him or Kyle Gibson? I'm just kidding. Of course, you'd rather have Kyle Gibson.
mm, for the first two starts, for sure, against
Yeah.
Oakland and Minnesota. Oh, as far as who's going to close, and Miami, not Minnesota, whoever is going to close in Minnesota, we got Tyler Duffy, Jorge Alcala, and Emilio Pagan, and Caleb Thielbar getting the CL tag on roster resource. And that's the order that they're listed. That's probably the order that I would recommend them, with Duffy and Alcala being my focuses. You know how I feel about Pagan as a potential closer. I know he got the 20 saves in Tampa Bay, and people are clinging on to those 20 saves and trying to put him in San Diego's role for the last 2 years. He's a home run machine. I just don't buy it. I think Duffy and then Alcala got some sleeper love in like drafting holds and things like that. Like, some folks really like him. This could be an opportunity for him, but I wonder if the veteran Duffy is the one who gets the job. He's been a consistently solid reliever for them now for a few years, dating back to 2019 when he really took a step forward. Who would you go for in the Minnesota bullpen?
Ooh, yeah, I think I lean Duffy. One of my most rostered players this year, apparently. Have him
Really?
on 5 teams.
Okay.
Because I thought early on in draft season that that Taylor Rogers was going to get traded, and then the longer we went into the draft season, we went, oh, maybe he's not.
Yeah.
Even when the kind of the rumors started coming out, I was like, I think I said it maybe on a podcast. Oh no, during my main event on Wednesday night, someone in the chat asked me like, hey, do you think that the Minnesota trades him? I was like, I think the fact that it hasn't happened yet means they're probably not going to. Like, I don't think they want to trade him.
It's always hard to predict opening day trades.
Yeah. So, but it happened. I think it is probably a committee, at least initially. Yeah. So I think Alcala will get shots. I think Tyler Duffy will get shots. I think Emilio Pagan will get shots.
They're all righties, and Thielbar is the lefty, by the way.
Yeah, and so maybe he gets some shots too. In certain matchups. Will it work itself out? Probably. I mean, I think you've mentioned this a number of times over the years. Emilio Pagan is just a home run machine.
And there's just so many.
So I don't know that he may get some shots, but if he blows them, I think they'll move on pretty quick. I think the guy I want to roster most is Alcala. But I think Duffy may get the first shot. So
how hard would you go for an Alcala in your leagues, 12s and 15s? You probably might have two different bids there, but what would they be, percentage estimations?
Probably not going more than 5 to 10%. And probably not
depending
even
on
10. Yeah, just because I don't want to blow 10% of my fab on a guy that may get half of the saves or a third of the saves. I'd rather hope to sneak them. I'll throw some keep them honest bids. But I'd rather save my fab for a guy I think has the potential to be the guy. As opposed to go after a guy like Colin and Duffy, where I feel like it could be the guy, or they could be sharing the situation on a team that I think is going to be decent, and I picked them to make the playoffs. But
to win the division,
they could also end up being really bad in selling a lot of these, pieces, and not being good. So, by the end of the season. So I wouldn't be overly aggressive. This is not the spot I want to get aggressive on necessarily.
Yeah, and you always got to be careful on these early ones. I understand getting a guy for an extended period of time who closes is super beneficial, and that's why people go hard. But don't forget about the Julian Merriweather thing ringing in the back of your head there when
Mm-hmm.
everyone looks like when he looks like he's the full on guy. And the problem is here with Minnesota is that there are multiple guys like both Duffy, Alcala, and even Pagan. I will acknowledge that despite my issues with him, doesn't mean a team feels the same way. If they think that they can get his home runs in order or something like that, they might still go for him. So Alcala and Duffy are the only ones I would bid on, but I also would keep it in check there. David Robertson looked really sharp in his save for the Cubs. That knuckle curve looked vintage to me. We're talking 1 inning, a few pitches, but I was like, okay, David Robertson. And they went Wick, Givens, Robertson in that order. It's only 1 day to go off of, but it looks like that's the order to go. They're all 3 righties, so you can't say it was like a matchups thing. Is Robertson the guy?
Feels like it. If you're going to get aggressive on a closer, I feel like David Robertson's the guy to get aggressive on. Like you said, they brought in Wick. Wick then struggled, and they had to bring Michael Givens in for a third of an inning.
Mm-hmm.
He only threw, I think, 8 or 9 pitches.
And there was some. We were talking during the watch party, like maybe they bring him out to finish it off, but no, they
maybe
just went
he's
to Robertson.
The guy. Yeah. And no, they didn't. They went straight to Robertson. David Ross feels like an old school manager type guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's fair or not. It's probably not, but feels like he's the kind of guy that's going to pick his guy and stick with him. And
he'd like a button to press type of deal.
Yeah. I think it might be Robertson. If you're going to get aggressive on a closer, I do think it's Robertson right now.
I think so too. Of anything you can take from day one, which is very little, so be careful.
Yes.
David Robertson's the guy I'd go for. What about Tony Santillan in Cincinnati, though? We have 512 guys. Eduardo Rodriguez starts with a strike down the middle for opening day. Let's go, baby. Tony Santillan, Hunter Strickland, Art Warren, Justin Wilson, and Luis Sessa all get the CL tag on roster resource right now because it's an open situation.
Garrett Cole does not start off with a strike.
He didn't? What a loser, dude. Sticky stuff, bro. Sticky stuff. Sessa got the 6th. Wilson got the 7th. Art Warren was nowhere to be found yesterday. I forget the other guys I said, Hunter Strickland, whomever. It was Moretta. Is that Daniel? No, Dari Moretta. Don't know him. He got blasted up in the 8th. And then it was Tony Santillan for a really strong 9th, a clean 9th with 2 strikeouts. Are you going to go for Santillan here? Or is this a little bit more of like the Minnesota situation where there's multiple guys, so you're nervous?
This feels way more crowded than the Minnesota situation. This feels like it is going to be like a straight up committee. We've seen David Bell do this before too. So I'll probably throw some keeper honest bids in it. 4-pitch walk for Garrett Cole to Enrique Hernandez.
And you thought Enrique Hernandez couldn't lead off.
Well, not many of them were close, to be quite honest.
Even you could take those pitches? Yeah. I would have gotten a walk on that one.
Yeah, the first one was really, really outside. Anyways,
to Pollock.
So, I don't think I'm going to overly invest in this situation.
Santillan was a G as a reliever, 2.32 ERA, 0.99 WHIP. However, let me stay honest, 1.3 homer 9.
Yep.
That's even lower than Pagan's,
and they weren't at home yesterday where the homers fly.
But that, like, by the way, I brought it up because of the Pagan thing. I didn't want somebody to be like, oh yeah, get diced up. Let's go, Pollock, you're out. But 1.3 is still pretty high for a closer too. You gotta be under 1 as a closer because it's the quickest way to lose a game. That's why homers are so important out of a reliever. But Santillan was really good around those homers. He's the kind of guy I go for in a bid, though. Instead of getting into the David Robertson issues or even the Tyler Duffy situation and paying huge.
Devers just hit a 2-run shot.
Go Devers. Let me get Tony Santillan at a really cheap price there, like you said, to keep him on his bid that comes through, and see if he can take that role. Because Sessa in the sixth, it's day one, but he is a middle guy. I don't really think he's a closer type. He's a good middle guy who can go multiple innings. Wilson's a lefty, and he's the only lefty in the bullpen right now. Art Warren, I do like, so he is fighting Santillan, but I kind of like Santillan there to go for the cheaper saves. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I really don't. I hope they win another close game
So you
this
can see.
weekend, so I can have a better idea because I really don't. And this will probably be another situation that we address on Sunday when I talk to
Yeah.
Jason. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
keep tabs on that for us and hit it on
I
Sunday, especially
because
if
I
they get
really
another win.
don't feel maybe he got the first save, so that means something. So if it is a
Mhm.
committee, maybe he's leading the committee.
But we
And
didn't even see Art Warren. Let's see where Art Warren's at. He
yeah,
was
it
amazing as a
could be a
reliever last year.
completely different order today. Like who
Yep,
knows?
exactly, and that's why you always gotta be careful with how much you take out of spring training. Tony
Garrett Cole is
Santillan.
broken.
Shut
Garrett
up.
Cole is broken.
Scott
Drop him in
Barlow.
all of your leagues.
Scott Barlow got a 2-inning win. They were on the road, or they were at home, excuse me. So he came in the eighth and caused a huge panic and some hilarious "I told you so's." I literally saw some tweets like, "Y'all should have seen this coming." Seen what coming exactly? Because he pitched the ninth too. You stupid idiot. 2 innings, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, gets the win because there was no save opportunity there. Does this move anything for you with him, or is this the other way? Do you go the other way with this? This is big trust in their best reliever by giving him 2 innings. Stop watching Garrett Cole flop. This is our last
Yeah,
topic.
Bogart just hit a rocket shot off the wall.
Oh wow, he's
So,
getting diced.
yeah. Uh, Barlow came in the eighth,
Mhm.
um, and made such quick work of the eighth that they gave him the ninth. Like if he had struggled anymore, and he did struggle towards the end of the ninth.
A couple hits, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Stalmont, who a lot of people thought like, hell, Stalmont's probably the handcuff, right?
Mhm.
And then Brent's the other guy where people are like, ooh, he's kind of sneaky. Maybe he's the guy. They came in before.
Yes.
Um,
No
if
Amir Garrett, no Dylan Coleman, who are also lingering. If you're
I
worried
think
about Barlow.
I think Coleman would have been next man in. I mean, he was up to 28 or 29 pitches by the time he
Yeah.
finished off the ninth. Did get into a little bit of trouble towards the end of that outing we were watching. I think that Matheny has, said in the past, like, hey, he's going to use his relievers in the best possible spots. I don't think they have a necessarily set guy. I think that Barlow is the main guy. Yes,
Yeah.
I do think Barlow is the main guy. But I wonder if Coleman is an interesting $1, $2 bid in deeper leagues in Fab.
Yeah, I won't go against that. Like, I think that's always fine if you're trying to speculate, especially if all you want is a few saves. But I
Mhm.
do think that I kind of like what this shows for Barlow being their best guy and the guy he's going to want to go to the most, trusting him for 29 pitches. Like they have a day off today too because the Midwest and Eastern series, like I said, always have that day off there, or generally have that day off there because it looks like Washington and Mets are going to play, and that's inclement weather potential there. So with 29 pitches, he can take a day off. He could still come back on Saturday pretty easily. So we'll see. But I still think Barlow's the guy. I was trusting him as a main guy, not necessarily a full-time closer. But how many of those are there really, Justin? Like
Yeah.
5 or 6 that are like just
This is why I was
untouched.
paying up for the top 5 or
Same,
6.
same.
JD Martinez, RBI double.
Damn, he
Garrett
really is.
Cole has
Cole is
given up
getting ripped
3 runs
on 3 hits
on
in a walk.
3 hits without an out yet so far. And he is rubbing his arm, trying to get some sunscreen off of it right now. He is.
Ugh. Well, I mean, people are going to be panicking their faces off.
I'm panicking. I've got him in the auction championship in Tower.
Oh no, I would not panic about Barlow though. I actually see this as more of a positive than anything else that he got the 2-inning win there. But
Yeah,
Robertson, Santillan, Duffy, Alcala are the 4 names I'm speculating on for saves right now, based off of opening day, which is very little. Fair to say. What order are you putting those guys? Duffy, Alcala, Robertson, Santillan. What's your order?
I mean,
if you need, let's say you need saves, like you're really you didn't go hard on saves, you need them. Where are you going with those 4 names?
Robertson is a tier by himself.
Okay,
I have no problem going 15-20% of my fab on Robertson.
Yeah, put a big price on Robertson.
The rest of the guys, I'm probably not putting more than 5%. I'm gonna go Duffy, Alcala, Santillan.
I think I'm gonna go Santillan, Duffy, Alcala.
Okay. I'm not going to push back on that necessarily.
I'm really intrigued by this. Yeah, they're all 3 in an order that you can just go with. I agree. Robertson way above. All right, that's it. Opening day in the books. A lot of stuff. Difficult to not overreact. We try not to do that. The early season pods are most difficult. I right before we started, I was like, what are we even going to talk about? I guess we got to get into some of this opening day stuff. The only problem is that the reason it's tough to do is we don't do a daily show. And so only doing it every once in a while, like we skip the days we don't do. We will have more episodes in season, though. I'm going to have a weekly interview one that I do. Midweek, bringing in some folks.
Interesting.
That'll start next week. So we'll have that one.
Do you have anybody lined up yet, or are you?
They're not, they have agreed, but we don't have the dates, so I don't want to put it out there.
I feel like this is somewhat adultery. You're bringing someone into our bedroom without me being there.
You do it every Sunday.
I mean, I bring Jason in.
Who was on the last Sunday episode that I just listened to yesterday? Thank you.
That's because Jason couldn't be there.
I understand.
You're always welcome.
I understand that.
Trevor's story just grounded out. I mean,
that's why he got 6th, because he's a loser. Dude.
What a
loser. And I'm not suggesting that you wouldn't be.
Oh wait, no, that was Verdugo.
Possibly included on some of these, but I do want to start doing some solo interviews, so I'm going to have that on. And
can we pour one out for the 06010?
Dude.
I said podultry, and that's a Matthew Berry term. I just and I tweeted about it.
How are they not going to have a fantasy pod at ES/PN, dude?
I don't know. But ESPN Fantasy Focus Baseball was the first podcast, not just the first fantasy baseball podcast, but the first podcast I ever listened to.
Second for me, it was Baseball Today with Alan Schwartz at ESPN originally. That was what I first cut my teeth on and realized what a podcast was. But then 06010 was quickly thereafter, because I was starting to listen to the ESPN one. I can't believe that. Tristan and Eric deserve better. Shouts to Matthew and Nate, which is where I really was listening every single day when I had more time to listen to pods. But I listen to Tristan and Eric every once in a while as well. I just can't believe ESPN is not going to have a fantasy baseball podcast.
I'm pretty surprised by it. Like you said, I think Tristan and Eric, who were both, aside from being great fantasy players and great analysts, are really, really great people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've gotten to compete against both of them in Tout Wars and hang out with them, at Foley's and stuff. And just really, really genuinely good people. I hope I assume they're going to continue. They're going to continue to work at ESPN and do fantasy
they'll still be
content.
writing and everything. But man,
I'm going to miss hearing their voices. I don't know that I can be honest. You and I would not be on this podcast together if it wasn't for the 06010, because I became aware of Jason and then became aware of you because Jason did a guest spot on the 06010 when I was first starting to listen. And I really like myself. Yeah, I really like this Jason guy. I'm going to go listen to his podcast, and it was the Towers of Power podcast. And that's how you and I became, connected and friends. And so without them, there is no us probably.
Yep.
And I don't honestly enter the industry. because I entered the industry by meeting some guys in your Facebook group for the Towers of Power.
That's right.
That's my origin story. So without guys like Matthew Berry and Nate Ravitz and Tristan Cockcroft and Eric Carabell, I don't get into the industry. And so it is a huge bummer personally for me because it's part of my origin story. And because I have such fondness for those guys.
Me too.
So, I just wanted to mention that on air before
And
we
I owe a ton to
get
Matthew
drafted.
too. He used to retweet my starting pitcher guide for years. Just said, "Hey man, I really like this." Retweet it, which was massive. I remember when I used to have Twitter notifications on my, to like buzz on my phone, and he would retweet that, once every March, and my phone would go freaking crazy. And again, I'm not where I am without Matthew freaking Berry. So
Yeah.
it's just a bummer. And I know Matt and Nate weren't on it anymore, but Eric and Tristan were carrying the legacy. And I'm gobsmacked. And listen, we don't know all the details. Maybe Tristan and or Eric had something where they couldn't do it, and that's why it stopped. But I feel like that's not the case. So I can be corrected if it is. Dang, Eduardo Rodriguez finally got out of this inning, by the way. Kind of got away from him. They gave up a run and ended up making 30 pitches. But shouts to the 06010. Apparently, the folks at ESPN hated it with a Mott-like intensity, but I didn't.
It's apparently not bona fide; it's Bonifacio.
It should have been bona fide forever. But anyway,
yeah, it's a bummer. But I want to thank all four of those guys for giving us some pretty amazing memories. I was once talked about as a topic on that show. Have I told you this before?
No, what happened?
So in 2012, I'm not in the industry yet. This is years before I entered the industry. I'm a listener. In 2010, I had grown a playoff beard for the Giants. They went on World Series. I did not grow it in 2011. And so I started growing it in 2012. And the Giants clinched a playoff spot in like mid-August. And I went, oh, sweet. Now I can shave it off. And Danielle said, no, you can't until they win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it is hot. I've been growing this thing since May. I once scratched my beard and a piece of rice came out, and I couldn't remember the last time I had rice. And so I sent in, I said, you know what? I'm going to let a higher power make this decision. I sent a email off to the Fantasy Focus guys, and they opened up their show discussing this.
That's incredible.
Matthew Berry said, his exact quotes were, of course you have to keep it. Your wife has spoken. I have spoken. The Fantasy Focus has spoken.
It shall be decreed.
It was my first fanboy moment. Like they talked about my beard.
That's incredible. And he did the whole book on the fantasy life, highlighting all the.
My wife is in that book.
She is.
She is in the bonus section of the Matthew Berry book.
I need to check that out again. Then I read it before I knew you guys, so that's probably why I didn't recognize that. But it highlights
She's the 8-month pregnant woman that talked trash to someone so bad that they quit our league from high school.
That's amazing. And if you know Danielle, you know
absolutely
that can very much happen. But that's an amazing book if you like fantasy sports and you want to just hear how other people take it as seriously as we do. It's a really fun book. So anyway, pour one out for the 06010. We will continue to use the phrases that they have imparted to us, and we will always reference them even though the show does no longer exist. Justin, have a great weekend, you and Jason on Sunday, and then us back next week. Until then, take care.